Advisory Commission is called to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. You ready here?
Ready to pledge.
Yeah. Okay. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the
Texas flag.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas,
Texas,
one state, under God,
one.
one and indivisible.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. We are going to start with our first item, which is the Bingo Advisory Committee. And Trace, this is your item.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. I would like to report that BAC met on December 8th. We discussed the language that we received back from staff regarding the proposed rules about shutter card bingo systems. After review and discussion, the BAC unanimously voted to for the rulemaking process. We also discussed some ideas and improvements for the website, but we will continue to work with the staff going forward. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions? Okay. Cindy, do you have any comments?
I don't know if this is on or not, but I thank you for everything you do for the VAC, and also big kudos to whoever set up the audio for the meeting, because it was really clear and really easy to listen in on this meeting. The last one was a little bit sketchy, but this one was really clear. I don't know who did that, but thank you to them.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir, so much. Okay, next item is bingo rule proposal on shutter cards. Tyler Vance, this is your item.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Tyler Vance, I'm Assistant General Counsel. I have for your consideration today proposed new rules for bingo, authorizing and regulating shutter cards. These will be rules number 402, 331 through 338. These rules came about this summer via a petition for rulemaking that was submitted by a group of manufacturers represented by Kim Kiplin. And Ms. Kiplin is here today, has provided a witness statement if you need her. In August, y'all approved the petition and directed staff to draft some rules that are before you today. So we recommend that you propose these rules today so that we can put them out and receive comments from the public. And I'm available for any questions as well.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions? Okay, perfect. So Kim, would you like to speak?
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Kimberly Kiplin. I'm an attorney here in Austin, Texas. I do represent the petitioners in the petition for rulemaking for the shutter card bingo systems. They're Texas distributors licensed by the lottery. I also represent a manufacturer of bingo shutter card system. We're just grateful, appreciative for the opportunity to go through the process to propose the rules for public comment and receive public comment, and then move forward in the process. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have today regarding that process or the rules.
Okay, Commissioners, any comments? Okay, Kim, thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Cindy, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I don't. I'd like to make a motion that we approve these rules for publication in the Texas Register.
Perfect. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, our seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion passes. Good job, everyone. Thank you, Kim, and thank you, Tyler. Okay, next item on our report. We have Angela, who's going to speak to us on prime contracts.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Angela Skyby-Sagarba. I'm the Administration Division Director. Item 4 in your notebook is a briefing item to advise the Commission of staff's intent to issue a request for proposals for risk review and compliance monitoring services. Be happy to answer any questions on this item.
Commissioners, any questions? None? Okay. Please, Angela. Yeah, thank you.
Item 5. Item 5 in your notebook is a presentation of the 2022 Biennial Security Study of the Texas Lottery Commission. Government Code 466.020 requires the executive director at least once every 2 years to employ an independent firm to conduct a comprehensive security study of all aspects of lottery security, stipulating that 12 specific areas must be reviewed. The Act further requires copies of the security study to be provided to the Commission, the Governor, and Legislature. A copy of the public report is placed in your notebook and will also be placed on the agency's website, and appropriate offices will be notified of its availability. The 2022 study was conducted by Barry Dunn. Unfortunately, the representative from Barry Dunn, Christopher Ellenwood, the Senior Manager of Information Technology and Assurance Services, had a canceled flight, which prevented him from being here this morning to present the study. So if there are no objections, I will read his presentation to you.
Please, thank you.
I'm going to put on my Christopher Ellingwood hat. My name is Christopher Ellingwood. I lead the firm, our firm's lottery and gaming group, and have been with the firm for 17 years. I'd like to talk briefly on the process for which we conducted the security study, introduce you to just a little background on the firm, and present some very high-level results of the security study. Barry Dunn is a national accounting firm and consulting firm headquartered in Portland, Maine. My team and my group specializes in lottery services. On a given year, we are providing approximately 50 audits to state lottery agencies and their vendors focused on security and internal controls. We also work with lotteries all over the United States, Caribbean, Canada, and Europe. We have worked with new lotteries and new systems, including digital sportsbook, and we have a wide gamut and view into emerging products throughout the lottery industry. This is our 4th time working with the Texas Lottery on the security study. We've been working in the industry since 1985. I have a dedicated team of about 8 people who work full-time in the lottery with me. We really want to thank Angela Skyby-Sagarba, Eric Williams, and Joan Codal for helping us through the security study. A special thank you also goes to Jason Canaday, who coordinated on-site work and came into the office to work with us. We'd also like to acknowledge Dawn Espinosa and her team at IGT for the help on the vendor side. This year's security study reflected an agency going through change, a transition to a more remote workforce, and the relocation of the lottery headquarters. The majority of work was completed remotely. However, a portion of our testing controls in phase 3 of the study was completed on site at the Texas Lottery's old and new locations. This year, as always, our security study consists of 3 phases: a planning phase, a risk phase, and the assessment phase. As I mentioned, this is our 4th year in doing the security study for the Texas Lottery, and we want to comment on the continued success of the investment they have made into information security and the noted strengthening of controls over past years. We spent our first part of phasing, the planning phase, understanding the new changes that were made and understanding what was changing as a result of the relocation project, such as the new claim center and draw studio. Because of the move, certain aspects of physical security and past controls were phased out, were not focused on. We interviewed approximately 25 managers and high-level personnel throughout nearly every department of the lottery, and we identified 181 risks, which were based on best practices and current procedures. From those 181 risks, and through our meetings, we identified approximately 200 internal controls that were in place throughout the agency to mitigate those risks. We provided the Texas Lottery with a detailed report that broke down all of the risks and what those results were. This also included an assessment of key vendors, including IGT. In the second phase, we came in and tested those 200 controls for operating effectiveness throughout the 2-year period since the last security study was performed. We tested this through inspection of documents, sampling, interviews, and observation of system configurations. While we were doing this, we were also looking for opportunities for improvement based on our industry experience and best practices as suggested by several governmental frameworks and compliance standards. As a result of our report, we noted 9 findings. The findings would have no impact on the integrity of the lottery games or pose a risk for fraud or a security incident. The Findings noted were very much so as a result of changes in working abilities during the pandemic and were low-risk administrative processes that were not completed due to staffing constraints. We also provided the lottery with 10 best practice recommendations. 7 were moderate risk, 3 were low risk. None of the risk or findings would impact the security or integrity of any of the games, systems, or products within the Texas Lottery, as also. A lot of our recommendations and best practices were focused around the efficiency improvements, some of the new systems that were put in place, and documentation enhancements. This is all I have to present to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, commissioners, any questions, comments, thoughts? Okay, so this is not a voting item, but Angela, great job, and good job on the Chris voiceover as well. So
Go into, some other voice.
no, you did great. Thank you. All right. Next item, number 6, are the 2022 demographic reports on lottery players. This is your item. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, I am Robert Trelawney, Lottery Operations Director. Commissioners, Section 466.021 of the State Lottery Act requires that the Executive Director employ an independent firm to conduct a demographic study of Texas lottery players every 2 years. Results of the study must be presented to the Commission, Governor, and the Legislature for the convening of each regular legislative session. Item 6 in your notebook is the 2022 demographic study. I'm very happy to have Dr. Gail Buttorf, Associate Director for the Center for Public Policy, Hobby School of Public Affairs at the University of Houston, with us today. And she is going to present to you the high-level results of the most recent demographic study. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Buttorf.
Good morning. We're just going to wait on the presentation here. Okay, my name is Gail Buttorf, and as Robert said, I'm the Associate Director of the Center for Public Policy at the University of Houston's Hobby School of Public Affairs. You can go to next slide. So this year we had a total sample for the demographic survey of 1,685 respondents, and this year we did an entirely web-based sampling, which was different than previous year. This results in an approximate confidence interval of a margin of error of plus or minus 2.4%. Okay. Overall, our survey respondents, we found a participation rate of 61.6%, which was about 16 percentage points higher than in 2020. And this was statistically significant. In terms of demographic differences between players and non-players, we found statistically significant results for employment status, marital status, having children under 18, gender, Hispanic origin, education, and occupation. In terms of median dollars spent, we had a total of $33 in 2022 compared to 36 in 2020 and 25 in 2018. Next slide. The top 3 sales districts by participation rates were San Antonio with 71.6% participation, McAllen 71.4%, Waco 64.9%. Expenditures per month. (81.8%) participation among our respondents. The Texas Lottery scratch games with participation of 69.2%, Mega Millions at 64.4%, pick 3, 61.4, and finally Powerball with a participation rate of 50.8%. The highest average expenditure per play was found for All or Nothing at $22.24 per play. And the highest average number of times daily, they both in terms of times per week and times per month. Next slide, please. In terms of the average number of times played weekly and monthly compared to 2020, we saw increases for the scratch games, and we saw decreases for Fireball feature with daily 4. We had mixed results for Lotto Texas, Mega Millions, Powerball, Pick 3, Cash 5, Mega Fly, Power Play, Extra feature with Fireball feature with Pick 3, Texas 2-Step, All or Nothing, and Daily 4. In terms of average dollars spent per play compared to 2020, we saw increases in Lotto Texas, Scratch Games, Mega Millions, Pick 3, Cash 5, All or Nothing, Fireball feature with Daily 4. And we found stable or decreases for Powerball, Megaplayer, Power Play, Extra feature with Lotto Texas, Fireball feature with Pick 3, and Texas 2-Step, and finally Daily 4. Next slide, please. And next slide. Okay, this slide shows you the participation rates over the past almost 20 years from 1993 to 2022, and you can see that we saw an increase, which was mentioned previously, over the 2020 and 2018. And this table 1 from the demographic survey report shows key findings in terms of participation rates, changes in rates from 2020. So for example, you can see that Mega Millions had the highest increase or highest percentage increase with 7.6% increase over 2020, whereas Daily 4 had the biggest decrease in percentage change with 1.4% decrease over 2020. And in terms of average, the average spent per play, we saw the largest for All or Nothing with $22 and the lowest for Megaplayer feature with Mega Millions at $12.59. Okay. And next slide. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, any questions? So I know this is something you do every couple of years. Is it becoming easier, harder? Are there any challenges, anything that we can do at the lottery to assist with your findings?
Well, in terms of surveying, one of the reasons we recommended moving to all online was because it's easier and far more cost effective to survey online than over the phone. And Texas in general, it's hard to survey. It's very hard and it's very expensive to survey over the phone. It's either landlines or cell phones. It's incredibly costly and time consuming all over the country, but in particular Texas, that's been difficult to get participants over the phone. And so that's where recommended and the Lottery Commission has agreed to move the survey online, which is usually done in about 2 weeks time, right? Or far less time.
Okay. Commissioners, any final thoughts? Okay, we very much appreciate your coming to present, and Kayla, thank you. Okay. Good job.
Yes, sir.
Even though it wasn't you presenting, or you didn't have to do any work. Well, good job and coordination of everybody else. So thank you. Okay, next item is number 7, lottery sales and revenue. Kelly and Robert, your item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Kelly Stuckey, Controller for the agency. And obviously with me this morning, Robert and I will be presenting an update on sales through the week ending December 3rd, 2022. So beginning on that second slide, we'll be looking at comparative total sales presented there at the bottom. And it's here we note that through this 14-week period, total sales for fiscal year 23 are $2,223 million. And that's an increase of 165 million or 8% over the 2,058 million we had in this year 22 at the same time. Then looking at scratch sales specifically, reflected there on that second orange bar on the right, our sales are $1,673 million. And that is unfortunately showing a 1.7 million decrease from our fiscal year 22 sales. Our scratch ticket growth rate right now is a slight decrease of 0.1% over the last fiscal year. And then also our scratch ticket sales are currently making up 75.3% of our total sales. Little unusual, we usually hang around that low 80s. For instance, last year, fiscal year 22 was 81.4 this time. Then I'm sure you remember last end of October, early November, we had that Powerball run up to $1.9 billion. And we had been seeing scratch ticket sales week over week increase, with the highest being 5.8% that last week of that large jackpot. However, these last 3 weeks, we've been seeing a decline in scratch sales, with this most December 3rd week as high as 3.9% decline. So Robert will go over that a little more in detail on his part of the presentation. And then moving to draw sales, our fiscal year draw sales, or 23 draw sales on that second blue bar are 549.9 million. And that is 166.8 million or 44% increase over fiscal year 22 draw sales. And last year we were running 383.1 million. And so now I'll turn it over to Robert to go over the overview sales by game.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning again, commissioners. So if we look at this slide at the bottom right corner, you can see the year over year gain of $165 million. The overwhelming majority of that is coming from the jackpot portion of the portfolio, which is up at the top of the slide in white. Obviously, this is from the advertised $1.9 billion jackpot for the Powerball game that occurred in early November. That is the new world record. The previous world record was 1.6 billion, and that was also a Powerball jackpot back in 2016. So you can see Powerball is up over $121 million, and its add-on game Power Play is up almost $22 million. Mega Millions did have a good run a couple of months ago. It got up to almost $500 million, and actually for tomorrow night, it's $400 million. So it's been doing well. It is up almost $20 million, and its add-on games are up as well. Lotto is holding even, which is great news. The extra feature on Lotto is up. That continues to gain in popularity. And Texas Two-Step is up slightly too. So great results from the jackpot portion of the portfolio. In the middle of the slide in blue are the daily games. What we're seeing is what we have been seeing. All or Nothing is up 2 million, which is great. Cash 5 is holding. Daily 4 is up slightly, and we continue to see Pick 3 decline. So if you look at the daily games as a whole, they're down just about 1.3 million. So the so the draw game portion of the portfolio is up almost $167 million. So great news for draw games. Scratch tickets are down 1.7 million, as Kelly mentioned. Before we leave this slide, I thought I would just make a couple of comments about the $165 million gain and where we're at this point in time. So we're through our first quarter of our fiscal year. Well, that 165 million is a great solid start, and we're really happy with that. We have seen some weakness in scratch sales over the past few weeks. We've made some adjustments to our game plan, and we'll see if we see an impact from those changes in the next 3 to 4 weeks. I think it's worth noting that at the very end of last fiscal year, in July, we had a very, very large Mega Millions jackpot. It was $1.28 billion. So we're going to have some very, very tough weeks at the end of this current fiscal year. Those comparison weeks are going to be very tough if we don't have large jackpots at the end of this fiscal year. So last year, our total sales were 8.3 billion. Scratch sales were 6.7 billion. So we realize that we have a very large mountain to climb this year to compete with last year's sales. And so we've got some challenges ahead, and we'll continue to keep you updated in these meetings as we move forward. I did have another note. I've given you sample tickets, so you have all of our holiday tickets. Those are up there. And then you have a multiplier family that's called the Cash Blitz. The Cash Blitz is starting in January. That's a game from IGT Printing, and they partnered with iHeartRadio. And as part of that partnership, we are going to be receiving a very good marketing support package to help support that family. So we have high hopes that we will see some really good sales when that family starts in early January. And last but not least, Lauren Callahan, our Media Relations Director, is here today, and she wants to give you an update on an award the agency just won.
Robert, thank you. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, good morning. For the record, my name is Lauren Callahan, Media Relations Division Director for the agency. I am pleased to update you today on yet another accolade the agency has received as a result of the 30th Anniversary Committee's work. When I appeared before you at the June meeting, I shared that the 30th anniversary documentary entitled 30 Years of Winning had been awarded a Telly Award, the world's largest honor for video and television content across all screens. But as it turns out, that's not all. At the World Lottery Summit in Vancouver on October 19th, 30 Years of Winning won a Batchie Award in the special category for corporate and beneficiary video. This is a great honor in and of itself, but to top it off, the film was also recognized by our lottery peers across North America as this year's Best of the Batch, the very best entry submitted in any category, including all television, all radio, all advertising, and all corporate communications entries by all of the North American lotteries. This is the very first time a Texas lottery entry has won Best of the Batch. We wanted to take a moment this morning to show you what the audience in Vancouver saw as the Best of the Batch award was announced. So at this time, I'm going to ask Philip to roll the video.
The 2022 Best of the Batch is the Texas Lottery for their 30 Years of Winning 30th Anniversary documentary.
We appreciate your patience as we are still learning the AV systems in this room ourselves. Let's give this one more try.
Is increasing the anticipation.
The 2022 Best of the Batch is the Texas Lottery for their 30 Years of Winning 30th Anniversary documentary.
I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. When I think back to lottery startup, I was a year and a half into my career working at the state controller's office.
You know, being a staff member at the controller's office 30 years ago, and after the legislation was enacted and before the constitutional amendment passed, the controller at the time, John Sharp, formed a startup task force.
And around that time, as the session was going on, John said to me, I need for you to start to go and pull 10 people. They're going to have their regular jobs at the controller's office, but I'm going to give you 10 people from the controller's office, different functions, and go and do some research on lotteries. So we did. Nelda was one of those people. Gary Grief was another one of those people. And we decided that we needed to kind of go out into the country and figure out what lotteries did, what we wanted, what we didn't want. And so we did that. We came up with a questionnaire. Everyone took a different state that were running lotteries at the time. And we all came back and gathered all that data.
It was very close. And Governor Richards had worked the phones and personal visits, and her charm and personality won over so many members.
The constitutional amendment passed, I think, by about 60-something%. So that's it. We were going to have a lottery.
We had a mandate of when to start. We had to start before May of 1992, and trying to see in the future and see all the things come together that had to do that was very daunting.
The night before ticket sales started, we were at a big event center. And so we did the kickoff for the lottery and handed out free tickets and merchandise and that sort of thing. So it was amazing to be part of. And we were there late that night. And the next morning they had us there at 5:30 in the morning because they were afraid if ticket sales go on, somebody was going to win a claim.
It was really clear from the response from the business owners around the state how extremely interested they were and how excited they were to have this new product in their stores, but also the players calling in. It was the same thing. It was just this crazy level of excitement and interest in, what was coming next.
When winners came in, there was news coverage about the winners. We actually rolled out a red carpet for the winners.
We had people show up with their entire family, 20 or 30 people would show up. It was a celebration and people were excited. And back at that time, we didn't have social media. So I think people were really okay with having their 15 minutes of fame, whether that be on TV or in a newspaper story. And they were cool with doing that.
For me, I think the most memorable moment was having the opportunity to put Gary Grief in as executive director. I think for a successful business, it's all about what sort of culture you create. I could see that he would be able to create one that would just take the lottery up to the next step.
You don't have the success that we've had over the last 10, 15 years without constantly innovating and pushing ourselves forward. So I look at the past few years and even things that we're doing differently from 3 years ago or 5 years ago, we're already finding ways to do them better and to do them more interestingly and do them more efficiently.
It's a real tension because it's a box that we're in. So to be able to fulfill the functions of a Fortune 500 level company within the confines of a Texas state agency, it's a challenge and it's also a pleasure.
We sell tickets for almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There's a lot that goes into making sure that that all goes smoothly and that there's product at almost 20,000 retailers across the state.
Texas has had to take that narrow product line of draw games and scratch tickets and really work to innovate within those product lines. And so I think necessity has really driven innovation here and in a way that really sets them apart in the industry.
What we put together here, and this is what I take the most pride in, are people who find a way to get to the other side of whatever that initiative or that project is, no matter what it is.
We knew when we finished the documentary that it is a special film that tells our unique story. As we filmed, I was struck how the same theme came across from every single participant. What an incredible team works here, and through hard work, innovation, and perseverance, the Texas Lottery's sales records year over year have led to record revenue returns, Texas public education, and veterans. What we do here at the Texas Lottery is truly remarkable for a state agency. It is, however, immensely rewarding to be recognized by these outside entities, and especially by our lottery peers across the North American continent for sharing the Texas Lottery's unique story of our mission, business model, and employee culture. None of these awards were possible without the work of all the 30th anniversary committee members, but specifically those who joined me in working on the documentary subcommittee. Philip Bates, Stephen Cruz, Steve Helm, Andrew Leeper, Roger Prather, Lee Robbins, Mehul Shah, Ryan Mendel, and Nelda Trevino. We also had the unwavering support of Executive Director Gary Grief, which was vitally important to the success of a project of this magnitude. Personally, the documentary served as my Texas Lottery education, and every time I rewatch it, I'm reminded of what an incredibly special place this is to work. I'm very proud to be able to share this news with you today. Unless there are any questions, this concludes my remarks.
Hey, commissioners, any comments?
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations. You
Good.
did really well done.
Yeah, good job across the board, and particularly with our limitations on marketing budget and other things. It's remarkable that we have such an awesome, amount of information to provide, and that you were able to obviously put forth such a highly recognized product. So congratulations, and we're definitely proud of you and everyone who participated with this project. So thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. We are, Robert, you're done. Is that right?
Yes, sir. We're
Kelly, you're both done. Thank you all, everyone. Okay. Next item is a report on transfers to the state. Kelly, you're going to remain. So you're here and glad to still have you.
The Commissioners, the report in your notebook reflects the accrued revenue transfers to the Foundation School Fund and Texas Veterans Commission through the 2-month period ending October 31st, 2022. So total transfers to the state have amounted to $279.4 million for the first 2 months of fiscal year 23. And of that amount, $274.8 million was transferred to the Foundation School Fund, and $4.6 million was transferred to the Texas Veterans Commission. So that gives us a 2.9% increase, or $7.6 million, over the transfer to the Foundation School Fund for the same time last year. And then cumulative to date to the Foundation School Fund are $29.9 billion, and cumulative transfers to the state are $35.9 billion. Concludes my presentation.
Okay. Kelly, good job. Any questions, comments? Okay, good job. Thank you so much. All righty, next item, legislative report. Elda, we're glad you're here, and definitely this is an important time of year. So we look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Nelda Trevino. I'm the Director of Governmental Affairs. The 88th Legislature will convene its regular session next month on January the 10th. Pre-filing of legislation began on November the 14th, and we've begun our process of tracking legislation of interest to the agency. In addition to legislation that may be filed related to the administration of the lottery or the regulation of charitable bingo, other legislation that the agency tracks covers a variety of subjects. These measures could relate to subjects regarding other gaming activities, open meetings of governmental bodies, open records in the Public Information Act, state purchasing and contracting, and matters related to the state budget and state employees. Today, I want to highlight a few bills that have been pre-filed related to both charitable bingo and the lottery. These include House Bill 4 31 by Representative Symphonia Thompson, again relating to the conduct of charitable bingo. This legislation is similar to the bill that Representative Thompson filed last session. In addition to the bill including several statutory cleanup language and provisions that the agency requested, the legislation also repeals the $750 prize limit per game. Let me repeat that. The bill also repeals the $750 prize limit and increases the bingo occasion price cap from $205,000 to $5,000. The bill also increases the number of temporary licenses a regular license holder can hold from 24 to 48, and it also changes the negative net proceeds evaluation period from 1 year to 2 years. Another bill that's been filed related to charitable bingo is House Bill 639. This was filed by Representative Jose Lozano. This relates to the number of temporary licenses issued to conduct bingo to non-regular license holders in a calendar year. The legislation increases the number of temporary licenses a non-regular license holder may request from 6 to 12. A bill related to the lottery that's been filed, House Bill 903 by Representative Joe Moody. This relates to the operation of a quick draw lottery game. This bill allows the sale of a quick draw lottery game, commonly known as a Keno game, in the lottery industry at bars and restaurants. Lastly, it's anticipated that the proposed General Appropriations Act, commonly known as the state budget, will be filed soon. We'll be keeping a watchful eye to see the funding that's been proposed for the Lottery Commission. We'll certainly keep you posted on the budget process throughout the legislative session. This concludes my report for today, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? Nelda, good job. Any other comments or anything else you want to share, thoughts?
No, I'll just try to get my math in order, but.
Yeah, yeah. 750.
Thank you, Trace.
Okay, next item, we have a report from our internal auditor. This is Darlene, your item.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. In your notebook is our status report and also a summary of the drawing studio processes audit report. For that, we assess processes in place to ensure that the draw game equipment and ball sets are not tampered with from the old facility to the new drawing studio. We also focused on game drawing processes and physical security of the new facilities. We noted that TLC took strong measures to ensure that all game equipment and the ball sets were secured during the entire packing, move, and setup process. And that's really important for reputation and ensuring integrity. When it comes to the drawing game processes in the new studio, the agency continues to deploy best practices, and the studio itself is equipped with state-of-the-art technology. All game drawings are closely monitored and strict protocols are in place. It's important to note that the lottery moved their operations from a building which they were the only tenants and had full control over the physical security and infrastructure. However, their new location is a state-owned building that's still under construction at the time of the audit. It has several state agencies as tenants and is managed by the Texas Facilities Commission. Because of this, there are many impacts to the draw studio operations, which includes mission-critical stability of internet and power to ensure game drawings are conducted on time. When the last mega drawings was delayed, my first thought when call was, it wasn't Texas Lottery, was it? Because I knew we had some issues with that. Unfortunately, it was not the Texas Lottery that held up that drawing. We rated the agency's processes in place for the move and game drawings as best practices. The one finding we had is that the Facilities Commission has not granted TLC access to generate badge access reports, nor did they provide the reports to the lottery on a timely basis. This is the crucial control to ensure that only authorized individuals have entered the drawing studio and other sensitive areas. The lottery operates the drawing studio 7 days a week, morning, afternoons, and evenings. Therefore, they do not have the luxury of waiting for the Facilities Commission to respond to a request for an access report if they suspect an unauthorized individual has entered the drawing studio or other sensitive areas of operations. We recommended that the Facilities Commission grant access to the Lottery Commission to generate their own access reports on demand. That concludes the report on Drawing Studio. I wanted to let you know that we are wrapping up an audit of where we looked at the physical security and operational impact as a result of moving to the new building. And we will have a summary for that at the next session. That's all I have for you today, but I'm happy to address any questions you may have.
Okay, commissioners, any questions, thoughts, comments? You want to volunteer as a security person? No? Okay, Darlene, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is our bingo report from Donna.
Morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Ms. LaDonna Castanuela. I am the Director of the Charitable Bingo Operations Division. Notebook materials today include CBOD's output metrics for licensing, accounting, compliance, and audit activities for the months of October and November. I have nothing further to report today. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, LaDonna, great report. Cindy, do you have any comments, thoughts?
I don't.
Awesome, good job, bingo across the board. Okay, cool. Next is our Executive Director's report, and he's not here today. He's under this chair, but Paul, I think you have some comments that you want to make on Gary's behalf.
Yes, thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Bob Beard, General Counsel. I'm reporting today for Gary Grafe, and he asked me to tell you that other than the materials that are in your notebook, he has nothing further to report.
Okay, comments? Commissioner comments? No? Okay. Good job, Bob.
I have the next item as well, which is the enforcement cases. Item 13 contains 5 lottery cases and 1 bingo case, tabs A through F. In these cases, the commission staff found the licensee violated a lottery or bingo statute or rule. And in many cases, either the respondent fails to appear at the hearing and it proceeds by default, or the staff and the respondent reach a settlement in the form of an agreed order. And those are the type of cases we have today. Tabs A through C are the non-sufficient fund lottery retailer license revocations. Each case was presented at the State Office of Administrative Hearings for revocation of the license because the licensee failed to have sufficient funds in their bank account to cover transfers to the commission's account. In each case, the licensee failed to appear at the hearing, and the judge remanded the case to the commission to handle its default matter. Tabs D and E are lottery agreed orders. One of these is a case where a retailer purchased the ticket from a customer to claim, and the other is a case where the retailer charged a fee for purchasing lottery tickets with a debit card. Tab F is a bingo agreed order, and this is a repeat licensee, the bingo manufacturer who was the subject of an agreed order earlier this year for various violations of the Bingo Enabling Act. He failed to comply with the prior order and has agreed to pay a $5,000 penalty. And that concludes my presentation. You may take up the enforcement orders in a single vote if you like, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any comment? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
You have a
second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bob, good job.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay.
I have no request for further public comment today.
Okay, well, we've come to the end of another successful meeting. On behalf of all of our commissioners, we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And also, before we conclude, I do want to mention that one of our commissioners, Eric, has a new addition to his family, Beauregard David, and I am confident that he'd be happy to show you a photo of his baby newborn son, and we're all proud of you and your family, and awesome job on the new addition, Eric. So with that, we are adjourned.